so much smaller than you.
Hey, 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 check 1 2 1 2. It's so good to be here, everyone. Come on in. We are just still getting a little set up here, so bear with us. My name is Alicia, sound designer, producer, and newfound crypto enthusiast, and I'm here with Luis Martinez from Stakes. And we are here tonight to basically give you the ins and outs of NFTs, all about them, and kind of start this little journey into the world of DeFi and all that. So, whatever you want to know, we are here to answer. And you can actually join us live in the Stakes Discord, also the EDMP Discord and the Cryptowaves channel. Feel free to put all your questions in there, and we are going to be answering them all live. I'm really, really stoked. As you can see on the browser, this is a young man named Jeffrey, and he is the winner of the Cryptowaves Audius Remix Contest. I was super, super impressed when I got really into his music. He makes all kind of stuff like pop, EDM, pretty much whatever you can think of, and he's really, really awesome. So we're going to be interviewing him today, which I'm really stoked about, and showcasing his music. So we have a little bit of an agenda today. We are going to do blockchain basics. Just for those of you, hey, I mean, you may be coming here with a little bit of knowledge, and we can totally, please ask us whatever you want. Ask us advanced questions, but we're going to start and just go over a little bit of the basics of getting on the blockchain for anyone who has not yet ever made an NFT or anything like that. So we'll talk a little bit about wallets. We'll talk a little bit about different chains, gas fees, and then we're going to get into minting. And we are actually going to mint something live. We're going to interview Jeffrey. We're going to talk about all of his stuff, his projects, what he's up to, how he made some of the crypto waves, and hopefully just have a super, super good time. So first off, let's kind of get into blockchain basics and wallets. And so, I mean, if you want to do a little introduction and talk to, what would you sort of say to somebody who's about to get onto the blockchain for the first time and is like super overwhelmed?
Well, the first thing I would say, you're in the right place. You're making the right move just for discovering and being curious about such an amazing metaverse that we like to call it, that's offering so many opportunities even today. So I guess a good starting point would be your wallet, and to let you guys know, the reach and the importance of this wallet, what it lies behind the wallet, some basic usage I think we can go over with now. But most importantly, do know that your wallet, this is the first time that you have a public identity on the internet, and this is actually secured or safeguarded by the blockchain itself, and every single transaction will be recorded on that public ledger, which is what brings really the game-changing feature to the actual interoperability that we have with the blockchain layer. So having said that, just know that your wallet, in the end, I like to call it your CV. I can, from here, since everything, as I mentioned, is public, I can see much of what you have done in the past, even though it's pseudonymous. I mean, you're operating under, let's say, a nickname or a self-generated nickname, or that you don't choose. It's just it's not precisely anonymous. I can see what you've done with that wallet, but you can always just skip or move to switch to a new wallet and keep that privacy fairly in place. So having said that, I was speaking of the CV because this is the way I can see what you have transacted with. Every single transaction that you perform with your wallet will be visible to the rest of us because it's, again, in the public ledger. So a good way to start getting your name out there also as an adopter, as the first time that you interact with a protocol. There are rewards. These new dApps and protocols are waiting for you to come on board and start operating with them or transacting with it. So that's why you would be in the right spot for sure.
And maybe I think, there are probably some people who have no clue what a dApp is and even like what the blockchain is. And so without spending too much time getting too basic, maybe we can just say, okay, it's your first day. I want to get into this NFT thing, right? I've heard about it. I want to maybe buy some art, interact. Where should I go to make my first wallet?
Okay, well, today I think we'll cover mostly the Ethereum blockchain. So we will mostly, I think, stick to MetaMask, which in my view is one of the easiest, from a user-friendly point of view, it's one of the easiest tools to begin to get started with the blockchain. I mean, it's quite straightforward. You can go to metamask.io and then take it from there. There's this quite fairly simple explainer video which can guide you through the whole process. But what's most important here is just know that you will create your seed phrase. From having your seed phrase, it's basically the only way that you can recover this. So keep it somewhere safe. Make sure that no one's around. Keep it as tidy as possible. This operates very differently than your typical, let's say, Google account, right?
And before we get too deep into that, let me kind of remind our audience or show them there's basically 3 types of wallets that you can have with the blockchain, right? And MetaMask, the one that we're talking about, is a browser-based wallet. There's also hardware wallets, also cold storage, and generally these ones, I don't have one yet, but I've been told that, once you start to get some serious crypto assets, that's probably the one that you want to deal with because it's a little bit more secure. Hardware wallets are actual physical objects, kind of like USB drives that are protected, sort of shut off from being accessible to the internet. So it makes it harder to hack. But of course, it's also a thing that you have to carry around. And I've currently made the decision that I don't need one because I don't, to be honest, have a ton of crypto yet. But it is something that I look at upgrading. And the third one that you can have is a software wallet. And how is that different from a browser? It's its own dedicated application, if I understand, or...
Yes, exactly. I mean, it very much depends. I think you're getting into the area of whether you're running a light wallet, which would be the case for MetaMask. It's its lightest version. That means you will not need to run the entire, let's say, node to know every single transaction that has happened in the Ethereum network since its inception. So light wallet just will only pull the amount of information that is relevant for what you operate in, not at the entire history. It depends on what you're using the wallet for. Generally for dApps, definitely a light wallet like MetaMask is your way to go. So maybe we could pull on screen, a few steps of the MetaMask creation. We obviously cannot create the seed phrase here because it kills the whole point. You can't do that on the stream, right? But it's very straightforward to just be going to these to the metamask.io as mentioned, and if you go to where it says supports in the top menu, you can go to the documentations there and just click on that one. And then I think my favorite explainer for getting started, and you guys can watch it on your own. Go to the knowledge base, artifacts, whatever. So from here, you'll have a very simple explainer video, in my opinion, on how to get the extension installed in your wallet. And then once you have it installed in your wallet, it's quite easy to get started. Let me just pull it up here.
Yeah, and once you have this installed, it will actually run right in your browser. So whenever you do a transaction on the blockchain, it will pop up. If you can see in the top right-hand corner of the browser, there's that little MetaMask fox. It's a fox, right? Yeah. I think it's a fox. I'm not very good with my animals. But yeah, it's a sort of at the top right. So then whenever you do a transaction on the blockchain, something will usually pop up, ask you for a signature, ask you to interact, and basically it's a digital signing of a contract. And so, did you have something else you wanted to say about it?
No, I think you covered it. I think you covered it all. I just really recommend, if you're completely lost and do not know what we're talking about here, try to head down to this MetaMask page, just getting started with MetaMask. Just Google that straight in and go straight to the MetaMask website. It will guide you through the process of creating your seed phrase, your private keys, and then just the basics of moving around with this app. Really, there's 2 main functions: just receiving money, sending money, and then interacting or signing transactions with smart contracts. I would keep that as the 3 basic features that you have with your mask, and with that, you cover most of what you can do with your wallet.
Amazing. So here's the thing, the most crazy thing I think for people who have not used the blockchain before is the concept of a gas fee. And it doesn't make a lot of sense at first because I think we're used to fees, but we're used to them being a percentage or a fixed fee. Like if I have a banking fee, if I get a credit card fee, there's usually sort of where it's going to go. And with the blockchain, it's a little bit different. And so I would love for you to kind of try to explain to the person who's just trying to wrap their head around what is this gas fee? Why is it so high or so low? And how does this interact with the Ethereum network? And then we can maybe talk about ways to get around it.
Sure. So that's an important topic. At the early days of Ethereum, gas was just another metric. Actually, it's funny. It's funny because back then in 2017, when I first got involved with mining Ethereum, it was one of the least of our concerns was really gas fees. It was much more about, let's say, the electricity, whether mining output or your rewards would be more than the electricity bill. So it's interesting that we now migrated towards the gas, which is a good way to explain it is precisely that. It's the, let's say, aggregate computing power that is required to keep the infrastructure alive, to keep its decentralized stance and integrity in place. So just very briefly, gas is transaction fees. As you guys know, let's just compare gas for the time being. I don't like this comparison, but just let's go with it. If you send money from one account to the other, from one bank to the other, you will have to pay settlement fees. These are the clearing houses. Sometimes even in the case of the U.S., the Fed takes a fee sometimes just from transacting with certain layers of its infrastructure. And these are all packed into you as a transaction fee that's charged by your bank, right? Whatever percent, a commission, banking commission. So what Ethereum does is it rewards, instead of, let's say, a bank or any one of these institutions or infrastructure handlers or agents, it just rewards the miners, the people, the not people, but actually the computers that are behind keeping the infrastructure alive. So these are just very, very quickly, these guys are just using computing power to guess, let's trying to explain it and simplify it here, but to try to take a guess at what is the hash, the password, the code of the encrypted code that it's lying behind each transaction that is being validated. And when they manage with all this computing power, they manage to guess such a or find the right, let's say, piece to that hash puzzle. Then they get the reward, and this is a transaction fee that you're paying along with everyone else using the network. So it's a good way that it's fair. Now going back to it's getting higher because it relies on, let's say.
Can I put a metaphor in there for a second? So I think if you think of these miners as actual miners, like the old-fashioned guys with the pickaxes mining the diamonds and stuff, it's sort of like you are trying to get them to mine your particular thing, your particular diamond mine, and you have to bribe them to get them to do it before anyone else. So when you pay a gas fee, just think you're saying, hey, I know you're doing all this mining, all these transactions, put mine ahead of the line. And that's why you also have these different levels of gas fees as well. You can bribe them more, you can bribe them less, and it will change the speed of your transaction. And what I brought up here on the screen is this Etherscan gas tracker, which constantly tells you how much the gas fee is. And again, I think the confusing thing to people is they want it to be a percentage of what I'm doing, or they want it to be the same a fixed fee all the time. But it's not. It's actually goes up and down depending on demand. So the more people are trying to knock on these miners' door and say, hey, do my transaction, the more you have to bribe them. So even though it's computers, it does function, I think, quite a lot like human nature in a way. So the GUI, and this took me the longest to understand, but tell me if I'm right. This is also why I wanted to do this with you, because, hey, I'm still learning and he's good at verifying and explaining it. So the GUI, as far as I understand it, is a way to sort of keep the price consistent even as the price of Ethereum changes. Is that right?
Yes. I mean, it's a separate, it's basically another metric separate from, let's say, the ETH unit value of what gas would be, right? So gas in the end is just another a way to call transaction cost. You will also find it all over Etherscan and all over dApps as TX, transaction cost. It's just an abbreviation there. But yeah, GUI in the end is another way to represent it with its own unit of value, which is, as you said, it's separate, let's say, from the Ethereum value, but it has also its own conversion, let's say, table. So yeah, I just think of Gwei as you want it to stay around this area. Just a few insights that I can give you. There's some nice gas tracking apps, for example, like the one you will see just now on screen, and this will give you an idea right now of what it looks like. Also, straight from Ethernet scanners away, this is pulling exactly from the same place the information, but then you can see when is a good time if you are looking at high fees and you're trying to be strategic or tactical about it. When would it be a good time to actually interact with my smart contracts when you have a low average gas price, such as right now? Right now is a great time, and the reason for this is usually also in the weekends. If I can give you that insight, usually when Asia is asleep, which are let's say the heavy users right now of the network, it would be like a Friday night in European time, or Friday Eve in the US times, and then Saturdays are also Saturdays and Sundays are typically also good. Just think about when Asia is sleeping is just typically, just generally speaking, a better time to do the transactions.
And that's so interesting because that's another weird thing is like, hey, if I just wait till a different time, the fee will go down, you know? So I would definitely suggest just looking at your own time zone, and because it changes, you know, depending on where we're in Spain. So for me, like you said, it's Asia's night, whenever that is here. And I've noticed that sometimes I'll be about to mint something like we're going to talk about and go, uh-oh, gas is crazy right now. And then you just wait. And that is a big boo-boo that I made when I made my first NFT collection at OpenSea. I didn't really know about how much gas fees went up and down. And I suddenly paid $150 in gas fees to set up my account. And I just went, this is crazy. How can I do this? And then my friend waited a couple more hours and did it for like $20. So it can drastically vary. And that's a huge thing. When you mint your first NFT, if you connect your wallet and you sort of look at the gas fee, because it will always tell you before you confirm, and it goes, wow, that's way too high. Wait a little bit. Look for a better time. If you don't really need to do it right that second, just hold off until you can bribe the miners a little bit less, you know?
Yeah, I think with that we cover what gas is, and the different alternatives that we have. We can then go into the layer 2, which is an interesting way. Obviously this has been a growing and latent topic in the entire Ethereum community and the rest of the, let's say, DeFi and NFT communities. So obviously, as it gets more expensive, infrastructure needed to be upgraded. And it's not very simple with the, let's say, the Ethereum network on alterable or unmutable properties to simply, create a new block with lower data usage, or let's say with more efficient data transfers and usage. So what they came up with is building a new layer on top of it where you can send into what I think I like the explanation of what we used to call side chains. So you will have the main chain, the Ethereum main chain, and then you'll be able to push a certain amount of information as much as possible to the side chains, which also connect to the main chain, but they don't they don't carry all the information, and therefore all these miners and all the validation doesn't have to do as much heavy work as they do, only for this specific output. So a good example is, if we have a calculator with a few formulas in a smart contract, maybe we could put some of the calculations on the side, and then just the inputs and the final, let's say, a result of that calculation will be pushed to the main chain, and you already generated some gas efficiency there. So that's just a very brief intro to layers.
It's kind of like bulk buying in a way. You're just, instead of trying to put your transaction ahead of the rest, you're scooping them up and getting like a bulk discount. I just want to read out loud what our homie Tyler just said. Big shouts out to Tyler. Tyler is G. He's been a super huge supporter of Cryptowaves and also writes smart contracts and knows a lot of things. And he just said each different smart contract function has a specific gas cost, like adding 2 integers versus multiplying them versus storing a string of text in memory. Complex functions require more gas. The GUI is how much the user pays each gas unit required for the contract computation to execute. So that's a whole other layer that I actually didn't know either. So awesome. So it's a kind of a combination of bribing and actual legitimate difficulty, which makes sense because you have to do more transactions. So more gas. Super cool. And so that's a really cool thing that's happening now to make things a lot cheaper. And there's also different blockchains. I think a lot of people just think, oh, there's just one thing. It's the blockchain. I'm going to go on and interact with the blockchain. But in fact, Ethereum is known as the main net, but there are so many other blockchains springing up. And in order for you to use them in something like MetaMask, it's almost like changing Wi-Fi networks. You go in and you basically just drop down and switch networks. And we actually don't have another network set up right now because I actually just put this wallet in here. But if you learn that, hey, this and this is taking place on another blockchain, switch your wallet to it and you can start interacting. So maybe we can talk a little bit about those other blockchains, because I know there's some people here who have maybe already made NFTs on the main net and they're kind of looking for alternatives because of these gas fees. These gas fees are really high sometimes. And if you want to make an item that you're selling for $200 and it costs you $150 to make it, that's not really feasible. Plus, if you actually want to start distributing multiple NFTs, multiple costs. So I know that Polygon Matic network has been making a lot of noise, and that is a side chain, is it not? So maybe we can talk a little bit about that, and then some totally alternate chains and like what the difference is.
Yes, I mean, there's a few options. I think you mentioned it, the Matic team, now Polygon team, it has really been I think the first guys to really solve this gas equation with much adoption from dApps and other developers. So I think that's one of the options. There's new and many more layer 2 solutions coming to place. I think another mention to Scale, for example, much more oriented, I would say, currently towards enterprise or larger, heavier transaction output or throughput. You will start finding different solutions based on whatever it is that you're doing. I do foresee in the future to have perhaps a specific layer for, let's say, NFT minting, or for specific activities, or for let's say, DeFi, which is currently being, Ethereum-based layers. Or in some cases, it's protocols such as, let's say, Synthetics, they have their own layer. They actually build on their own layer 2. They don't need to rely on a, let's say, third-party network. And, you have different combinations of what can be done. So, this is still, we're entering into something I think quite recent. This is being solved with as we speak. Also, the Ethereum core team is working at full speed right now with the upcoming upgrades. We're actually having the London upgrade coming right now in August, I think 4th. So we should expect some additional efficiencies being generated there, and then the long wait, that we've all been waiting for, which is the actual sharding and move on into the proof of stake
and
system.
That's going to make it cheaper, right? In simple terms, because there's going to be more efficient ways to deal with these transactions. And so we're going to go into some different marketplaces. And the interesting thing is some of these work on Ethereum. Some of them work on completely different networks, such as this Hicketnunk, and some of them work on sidechain networks like Polygon. And some of them work on multiple networks. So for instance, OpenSea, which is probably the first one we should look at, which is the most common one that most people have seen, can actually now run both on Ethereum and Polygon. And so again, simply that means that if I were to switch my OpenSea auction, and let's bring up my OpenSea for the first marketplace. This is the OpenSea original auction that I made for Cryptowaves. So when I made it, they actually didn't have this yet. And again, crypto time is like the fastest time. Wow, this is interesting. This is like the raw blockchain. When I made it, I had no idea, and they also didn't work on Polygon. But now OpenSea actually allows you to mint with Polygon. So I could switch my wallet, like the Wi-Fi network, like I said, and I could make all of these on the Polygon network. And the difference would be, it would cost me almost literally nothing. To do a gas fee on a Matic is like 0.00000. And maybe, if we have time, we'll mint one and we'll see. But I think, as far as I understand, that in order for people to purchase these, they also have to be savvy and they have to be using the Polygon network. So as far as I can see, the drawback to that, I mean, it costs you way less, but you're also putting another barrier with the level of crypto users. And I think as a musician, that's the biggest challenge, is that we're not just sort of going to our normal fans, and we're not going to random crypto people. We're really trying to find people who are music fans, who are passionate art collectors, who are also into crypto and are savvy enough to use all these things. So which is kind of a tall order. So as much as I love all these other crazy blockchains, and as much as I'm doing a lot of things with them, I have to say that for the moment, this is still the main net. And so unfortunately, to get the most traction and visibility, I've still found that you kind of have to interact with this network.
Yes, I mean it's good that you explore and you start adding, let's say, for example, the Polygon, which as mentioned is one of the most adopted layer 2 networks, and see what you could do with it, and just compare the gas fees and what you can find in that second layer. You know, from every direction, whether you're farming in DeFi, you're minting and looking for new collections there. In the end, you know, it's a copy. It's a very similar system to what you have on the mainnet, just operating in more efficient systems. And so I guess the trade-off here is, what am I going to find in this new layer? It will be the same system and even the same UI for you, but then you might not have, as Alicia just mentioned, you might not have that many. It might be a ghost town because they just launched on the Polygon network and they've been 4 years going on in the Ethereum mainnet. So, you know, these are things to consider whenever you want to make a jump, but do take the time to go and check out explore what is happening there, the users, the user growth, and then as more people adopt the layer and the dApp working on that layer, you might be able to find potentially even greater rewards or even greater, communities waiting for your art to be published into that network.
Yeah, and that's definitely something I want to touch on soon, not in this stream, but in future ones, is there's just so many opportunities to get these bonuses, to get these extra tokens, to be rewarded for being involved in a community, because I do think that has been the most beautiful thing I've discovered about the spirit of DeFi, is that it's decentralized, it's kind of anonymous, and at the same time, people make themselves known by banding together into these communities to try and make a difference in some way, whether it's voting on the technology that's going to be used, or simply just funding and supporting a new protocol and a new advancement. And a lot of these protocols are shared, which is really, really neat. And I do think that right now we will, thank you, Lael, in the chat. I'm definitely wanting to explore like these batch transactions, these other platforms, all of this. I agree with you. I think it needs to come. It is coming. And myself, I'm a huge fan of the Polygon and Matic system, but definitely also want to check out proof of stake networks as well. So maybe what we should do is jump into that nice little matrix graph while we start talking about all these different networks and the things for artists. Because here's the thing, going back to the artist perspective, there's a billion platforms that you can use. Open the original. Let's do it. Cool. And this is like a little matrix, and probably since this graph came out, there's like a ton more, but we're going to talk about a few things. So these marketplaces are different, and you can see in this matrix, hey, like here's a lot of the differences. We can talk about the fees that they charge. We can talk about things like royalties. We can talk about the file sizes. And this is some of the stuff. If you watched our quick little video, we talked about this very, very briefly. I know that someone in the chat has a question about our opinion on the best decentralized storage solution, so I definitely want to touch on that. But let's maybe talk about the difference between some of these main blockchains, right? And you can see on the left-hand side the name of the platform. So we've got OpenSea, and let's kind of talk about the vibes first of all. So as an artist, I could compare this to different clubs, different nightclubs. They have different themes, different kind of branding, different artists, and they have a certain audience. So for instance, if you go to that one club downtown, you get all the house heads. And if you go to another club over there, you get the underground warehouse kids. these marketplaces, in my opinion, so far have been a lot like that because different people go to different marketplaces. So first off, we have this, OpenSea, which I was showing before, which is called the eBay of marketplaces. And it is. Anyone can be on there. Anyone can get on there. It's very equal. However, it's not the place for a distinctive high art collector to hang out because everyone can go there. And unfortunately, that's human nature. We want what, is precious. And that kind of is the whole spirit behind what an NFT is. It's a way for somebody to put value and uniqueness on your art. So with OpenSea, I found that, the people that came to look at my OpenSea were there specifically for me and because I sent them there. It wasn't really a place that I got discovered. However, on a curated marketplace, which is one that you can't just put on, you have to apply, you have to get in some way. Take a look at, this is Catalog. And this is what we're going to be minting on today as well. This is the first, as far as I know, audio-only NFT marketplace. And so they only sell songs. That's it. And here's my experience with Catalog. I minted my first record, and within a couple hours, I didn't even have time to announce to my fans or anyone that it was up there. I already had a bid on it. And then I had another bid. And it just made me realize that there are people who are going, hey, I really want some cool, unique music. This is like the vinyl store or something. And they go through specifically looking for this. So that was kind of one of the first things I wanted to say is that curated or not, it may be annoying to you to try and get into it, but you may be rewarded by having a more distinctive collector if you do. I'm personally going to say that like some of the methods people have for onboarding, I'm not the biggest fan of. Some of these platforms make you sort of like basically abuse your social media and beg people to give you votes and invites and things like that. But like I said, I'm pretty sure that the people selling on there are having generally better results than something with OpenSea. As you can also see, some of them take credit cards, which is, yeah, if you're, sort of wanting to remove the barrier for crypto fans, that would be one thing. They don't even have to have a crypto wallet. However, it is what it is. Then there's whether they have unlockables. So here's the thing. Most of these platforms, when I went to go mint all my Cryptowaves items, they had a limit of like 10 megabytes and sometimes 30. And my gifts were bigger than 30. So I couldn't actually literally fit them anywhere. And so even though I had thought of doing some of them on other marketplaces, I went back to OpenSea because it had the biggest attachment limit. And so some of the NFTs I could attach directly to the file. The unlockable aspect is whether you can attach another link to that file that takes you to more content. So for me, that was my lifeline. I needed that. I had all these extra things, songs, videos. So again, that sort of eliminated right away more than half of these marketplaces for me. And then, of course, there's the platform fee. You can see quite a difference from OpenSea at 2.5 to Catalog, which is part of Zora, which they take nothing. And a lot of these others take 15%. So that is the main thing. And then let's talk about lazy and gasless minting. So especially for the environment, I think that I feel like all of these platforms should have them. And I'm honestly really disappointed they don't, because lazy minting means that they're not going to burn it into the blockchain. They're not going to be using that energy until it's sold, until it's transferred. So you can make all your, it's like print to order, right? And therefore it's not going to waste. You're not going to have a bunch of unsold NFTs that are just sitting there taking up energy. So that was a big thing for me, and that narrowed it down basically. So maybe that takes us to the other thing, which is, hey, if I have an unlockable, where is that pointing to? And maybe you can touch on that, because I know you're big on sort of the differences with that storage. And that was somebody in the chat's question as well.
Yes, and thanks for that question. I think this is very important. It's not as simple. We have this typical conception that, wherever we publish something in the internet, that's it. That's the end of the story. I've just published it. We don't really worry about where it's stored, or it's just none of our business. In the blockchain, it should be of a very relevant point, especially from the collectors. I mean, if I can speak from the collector's perspective, they really care about this. The reason for this is because they do not just think about it this way. Would you rather have give away something in a Google Drive, for example, when you give it away, hey, here's a link to the Google Drive, and you just sold it to somebody, and that's already like you're sending me whatever you just sold me, whatever file you just sold to me, you're sending it in a Google Drive. It's like, who has control over this? I mean, you can change the Google, the link sharing configuration, and then that's it, The owner has been switched just like that. And that's a good example to know why the blockchain changes the game here. This cannot be done on the blockchain. I mean, once you publish and you have a block closed with a certain transaction, with a certain data input in that transaction, then it's basically lives there for the rest of the blockchain's history. And we want to assume, at least the collectors today do assume, that we're in the very early stages of what this whole metaverse will bring towards the future, possibly expanding, further than our lifetime. So, if you have the possibility of having a Picasso today, whoever is our Picasso today in the metaverse, and it's being published for the first time in the early days of the blockchain, then you might think why these guys are paying stratospheric prices for the art, such as like the CryptoPunks art. They're basically, I think, 32 bits, which is what the blockchain or the Ethereum network can carry, and that's why they're so unique, because they actually, they're pixeled. It's very hard to see the art, but they have this uniqueness that they have the entire art lives inside of the Ethereum network. This is different to most of the marketplaces that you see in screen, and then I would take a look at where it says content storage right in the middle column, and then you'll see what's centralized, and then various options for actually storing the different arts and the different, even the unlockables, for example, where you could have them. And solutions such as Arweave and IPFS, which stands for Interplanetary File System, they are decentralized storage solutions where what they are trying to do is basically take away, let's say, the ownership of who's going to call, what is stored, what's not, or remove any kind of censorship, make it as censorship resistant as possible in terms of no government can come and say, hey, this is blocked now from A, B, or C collectors or from whatever regions. So these are the kind of things that they address, these storage systems that I just mentioned here. Piñata, that's another interesting one. You might want to. I think you've played around with Piñata a bit, but I think these three are let's say and lately also Filecoin has been working on these systems too. I mean, there's various systems, but just keep in mind, I think the key message here is you want it to be decentralized. You want to give the collectors as much assurance that it will stay forever on the Ethereum network and it will not change. It was the blockchain was built for this, for things not be able to be altered or changed. So give them as much of that as possible. And if storing it outside of the blockchain, which I mentioned, I think we can only store 32 bits. I'm not sure on that one, but it's just minimal. You can't store a full file, a full image there. So therefore, we need to find solutions, and this is what we're looking at Piñata, and we're looking at IPFS, which address this decentralization setup.
Right, and then what I was kind of going over this when I was trying to figure out where to put my unlockables, but it seemed to me that things like Piñata are just, it's not the file itself. Again, it's not really decentralized. It's just like a permanent link that points to something that is still kind of within your responsibility to keep up there. So that is, I don't know that I feel like there is an ultimate perfect solution. And it's kind of ironic because it brings trust back into the trustlessness in a way. And so my thing was that I'm a dinosaur in the rave scene, I've been around for 2 decades, which is like 100 years. And I was just kind of laughing because I said, I've been around for longer than the blockchain. So hopefully people will trust that it will just always be there. And, that was my rationalization. But I still think that there's got to be some kind of better solution, and I'm sure there's probably like 30 protocols working on it right now. So cool. So we're about to get into some music stuff. I'm really excited, but I wanted to first check out, let's talk about basic minting, and maybe we'll just look through OpenSea and just show people kind of how it works, because that's probably going to be a lot of people's first familiar, or I guess we could mint on the test net or something. something like that. Let's do that real quick. And then I'm going to bring in the amazing Jeffrey, and we're going to interview him. We're going to see what he did with the Cryptowaves wavetables, and we're going to actually live mint the remix that he did on Catalog, which I'm super, super stoked. And then after that, we will probably wrap up with just a little bit teaser to what we're going to talk about in the future, which is some really cool stuff beyond just crypto and more about achieving autonomy as an artist, which I think is really exciting. So yeah, if you want to go into there and test mint some stuff, let's do this. So here's a fun thing. If you want to try stuff out, maybe we can tell them about this test net. There's a test network. It's just a fake network on the blockchain so that it mirrors what's really happening. So if you want to try something, if you're scared, you're going to make a mistake, you can switch your Wi-Fi, quote unquote. You can switch your MetaMask network to this test net and just try stuff out. So we're going to do that here because I don't really want to mint something new on OpenSea right now. Let me just check the chat and see how's it going. Ooh, we're going into some crazy world economy stuff. One thing I do want to say is Ethereum and Bitcoin are kind of like these. I agree. Like there is some stuff that is getting worse, but I guess my personal hope would be like the fact that so many new protocols and proof of stake technology and networks. And so the cool thing I feel like is that everybody right now is actually really motivated to move in a better direction. So here we are on the testnet of OpenSea. So we just go to testnets.opensea and we are going to connect it because now we're on this fake network. So again, I just signed the contract just with no cost, just to say, hey, it's me. This is how we verify our authenticity on the blockchain. So, we already minted a test one, but let's create one. So let's do this. All right. This is the last test that I made. Sorry, technical difficulties. Here. How long has it been since you minted an NFT?
It's been a while.
Okay, so no, I go into my collections, create a collection. So you can basically create a new collection, and when on the real network, this is going to cost you probably some gas fees, some money to set up the collection. It's like a storefront. This is also really interesting. OpenSea is not just a place to mint, it's also just a marketplace. So you can mint on another platform and link it to OpenSea. So you see, like, this is kind of crazy. It's giving me the option right now to mint on Zora, Cargo, Mintable, Mintbase, and Rarible. So that's just an interesting thing that you might have. So you can edit the collection here, the banner. This is just your storefront. And this allows you to customize. This is just like setting up a page anywhere else. You can link your social media and royalties. So this is really interesting. This has to do with secondary sales, and just like getting royalties from plays, which is haha, we all know how funny that is, right? You can actually set a royalty to pay out when somebody resells your item, which I find very, very interesting. And you can choose which token you would like to accept for your tokens. You can add collaborators. This is also not something that's on every single marketplace. Some marketplaces like Catalog, where we're going to mint, they only support single ones. So in the case of Jeffrey's just going to have to trust me that I'm not going to screw him over because I can't do a smart contract to collab with him. Luckily, not only am I a really nice person, but you can all hold me accountable. I am not going to screw Jeffrey over. Jeffrey's amazing. Love him. We're going to have a cool NFT, and hopefully it finds an amazing owner. So let's go. Do we want to create a new collection, or do we want to just add?
In your collection, just add a new item. There, add item. That's it.
So you go into your collection and you hit add item. And you see, as soon as I do this, it's going to check with me the wallet. Hey, welcome. This is like what you're going to see the first time. Click sign to sign in. Are we good? Is it you? Yes, it's me. And here we go. So we can drag and drop a file. We can I actually sent you, this is going to be a teaser. And by the way, I made this little airdrop and I'm going to be sending it to a bunch of wallets. So feel free to tweet at me, send me your wallet or anything if you want to be included to a fun thing. But this is going to be my airdrop. So it's 24 megs. So it's small enough anyways. It fits on anything. And it's just a little video, and it actually has the music from the second place winner of Cryptowaves in it. Let's just check it out. It's some exclusive animation. Anyways, it's just a little preview thing. I thought it'd be nice. It's going to be a little collector, so you can literally just drag and drop. And because this is a movie, it wants me to actually put some artwork. And we're not really going to mint this right now. But usually I would have a still image that goes with this. And do we have anything that we can put here? I could just take a screenshot if I'm trying to be really lazy. Whatever. Let's do that. All right. This is me being extremely lazy. Sorry about that. So, where's your screenshots? Do they go in here?
No, you copied it. You copied it. You need to save.
Where do I save it? Oh my gosh. Sorry, this is not my computer, so clearly I don't know. Let's just... Oh man. All right, we don't care. We're just trying to make an image. Great. It's an image of part of OpenSea. Terrible. All right. Okay, where is it going to go now? Desktop? No, thanks. All right. I think this is it. Cool, whatever. Name, airdrop, external link. I can change this. Description, collection. Okay, it's in the right one. Now let's talk. Why don't you tell them about properties and levels and stats? Like, what are all these for the new NFT maker?
Well, it's very hard to really pack these into a single concept. Really, it allows you to be as creative as you would like with how you assign the properties within a collection. I guess a good introduction towards properties is, within the collection itself, you will have, properties, which is basically code inside the metadata that is assigning a specific trait to a given NFT. So this will differentiate that NFT from another similar NFT within the collection. Similar or different, similar when I'm talking about copies, perhaps you can have many copies of one NFT and then give different properties to each one of these
like
copies.
Like a limited edition or like collectibles, like video game characters. That's almost how I think of these properties, right? Traits.
Exactly. Actually, the way I remember it starting with the crypto kitties, very much with a gaming setup would be like the character, if it's female, if it's male, if it's the elder, or if it's one of the new, let's say, characters. You could just assign here. It's all about you as the collection creator, rather. How do you want to set your NFTs and differentiate one from the other? And another good way to kind of get involved and see this in action is take a look at OpenSea and see how other collection creators are using these. And you'll see the way OpenSea displays it to the collectors, to potential buyers. They will actually display it with let's say this is 10% of all items in this collection has this trait, or 15%. And here you start thinking about how to really use the scarcity as let's say, within these properties that are embedded in the metadata. Again, they cannot be ever edited once it's sold. So it just gives it a bit of an extra, let's say, uniqueness to each one of your art pieces. So you can play around with as many things as possible. I mean, here OpenSea allows you to do quite a few, like stats, speed, but really this is the metadata that you can edit and put whatever you want with it. If you go to other minting platforms, such as, let's say, I think I like for creating metadata, I really like Mintbase. Mintbase allows you to have various things, even I think geolocation. It's for extra access for it to live within the token itself, or as unlockable outside of the token. Forever PDFs, so even certificates, what they call forever links that will always live within the NFT. Different, just like I'm just mentioning other type of metadata properties that can be put, and these you can go as far. I mean, guys that really know how to move around this, they actually code straight into the NFT the metadata that they want, custom make it. So this is where I'm just, we're trying to cover it in the very, superficial way, because if you really know how to play with these and even write them in code in the metadata, then it's quite powerful to really differentiate these unique assets one from the other. Should we just go to?
Yeah, let's hang out with the homie Jeffrey a little bit. So we just need to call him on Discord, and I'm gonna actually switch over to some stuff. But while I'm switching over, I think something kind of fun, and so I wanted to introduce you to Jeffrey while we set him up like this. So essentially, Jeffrey is the perfect person to win this Cryptowaves contest, because let me roll back for a second and tell anyone who might be listening who doesn't know how Cryptowaves started. So when I met Louis, we decided to trade lessons. He really wanted to learn sound design. I really wanted to learn crypto. What are the odds? I thought it would be fun. And he started showing me graphs and charts and telling me how to read them. And when I looked at them, I said, oh, wow, what was I looking at? TradingView. They looked like waveforms, and I really just wanted them to I wanted to see what that sounded like. And as I got to know more about crypto, I realized how emotional people are, and how they are fearful and greedy, and all these terms that are actually baked into DeFi itself. And I wanted to kind of communicate the sound of that and figure out what that was. So I made these charts into wavetables and made a whole album out of them. And so our friend Jeffrey here does this all the time. And so while I just get him set up, I kind of wanted to show you, I don't know why this trading view has been super, super slow today, or I don't know if it's you, but essentially just so you can see what this looks like. And so Jeffrey likes to make songs out of lots of things. There you go. This would be a very depressing, the crypto charts right now are a little depressing to sample as wavetables, to be honest, because they're all going down. So it's a very droopy little sound, but this is the type of stuff I was looking at. And so while I set up Jeffrey, I just want to play this for a second, because this is his YouTube channel. Super dope. And this is him making a song out of a phone dial. So I'm just gonna put this on while we get ready. So check this out. This video is so dope. I'm going to skip to the end of it just so we have a little more time with Jeffrey, but he makes this amazing beat. And there he is. Super, super stoked. All right. I think this is gonna work. So what's up? Check, check, check. Jeffrey, you hear me?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes. It's a little echoey for a second. Maybe it's you.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. My mic gain up pretty high, so
All right.
um,
This was not happening earlier, so this is
hopefully it sounds good in the stream.
maybe do you have headphones on? Maybe I should
Yeah, I do.
turn up. Hey, that worked.
Hey,
Hey everyone. So super stoked to welcome Jeffrey, the winner of the Cryptowaves contest. Jeffrey is a producer. I would love for you to just kind of introduce yourself, maybe tell us a little bit about your story, like how you got into production, who you are, where you're from, everything, because we are so fascinated.
of course. So, Jeffrey, I also go by the name 2008, Jeffrey 2008. It's in my name, MMVIII. That's Roman numerals. 2008 is the year I started doing the production. I started getting into music. I found out about FL Studio, so that's quite a while ago. But ever since then, I've been pushing myself into many different genres, especially EDM. I've been doing that the longest, and I'm just trying to branch out with my versatility, try out pop, try out R&B, anything that I could think I could put my mind to, and just see how much I could create out of that. So I've been doing music for over 10 years, of course, and did this remix for Alicia, and I love it. Under my side alias Netrun, a little thing I wanted to start, like a project based off some cyberpunky kind of stuff, like the net running, net runners, the cyberpunk characters in the game, that. So
No, I mean I'm just basically super stoked on your music and I would love to see. So maybe what we can do now is you can, if you wanted to share your screen, I think we can just bring it over to the other browser. Let me just put this down and put this back up here. And let's see if you share your screen on Discord, I think that should work. Cool. Yeah.
you guys hear that?
I hear it. I'm not sure if the
Is it
audience can
quiet?
hear it. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna make.
I remember the last time we did the I had a call with her. Something like this happened. The audio wasn't
Let me
coming
just make
through
sure
the
that the
first time,
voice
so
is coming out.
hopefully we can.
Output device. Let's put it through. I think, I think that should work. I think that should patch you through my audio now.
Okay, let's try this then.
You might want to share your
Good.
screen again. I think it's coming.
Okay, it's coming.
Yeah.
Let's try this again.
Yeah, just share your screen. I think we're good. Yeah, I can see it coming through. I think we're good.
All right, cool. So here's the remix. We did very color coded, and I picked some colors that kind of match that cyberpunk kind of vibe. But yeah, this is the whole remix. I'm gonna show you start to finish some things I did in it, the wave tables that she provided me with, and yeah, let's get to it. So we'll start the first section, and then I'll go through each section and what I did basically. So here's our first section, intro. So yeah, that was intro that part. I took a serum patch, pretty much basic, and just threw our little, our Bitcoin recent there, and then pretty much just cycled through the wavetable, the position, just slowly going through and giving it basically just a resound. So yeah, very cool, very staticky, very distorted-ish. We also have her vocals here. I just wanted her vocals and some synth sound that she had. I didn't need everything. And then as well as this little sample I have here, which is actually from an older song I did for Netrun. It's pretty much a sample of my song. So with effects over it, without the effects. So yeah, I just pitched it up to the key of the song, and then everything else follows. So let's get into the next section.
Rising from the ashes of this wildfire. Am I just a token of a burning desire? Everything you thought I'd be, couldn't see it coming. Accidental by design, in the black swan.
Okay, so for this section, not really much has been added besides just a bit more loops, just to get more upbeat tempo, as well as this little thing. We have this sequencer going on down here, which is hard to hear sometimes. I have to maybe bring the volume up a little bit. So this is interesting. I took the Doge wavetable and threw it in here, and then I did some like what is it? Function. I don't know, it's like randomizing throughout the wavetable basically, and you can see with this filter, it's going all over the place basically. So without this, it would sound. Yeah, and then also under that we have a nice lead that's going throughout the song to complement her vocals, which is Nexus.
An orphan here in space time. Accidental by design.
And also one more thing I believe we had in here was some cool vocal effects, kind of like ad-libs in a way. This is one of my favorite plugins. I like using this to kind of give like that glitchy sound, just to complement that, cyberpunkish theme, just glitchy futuristic stuff. So also that with some Valhalla room to give a lot of ambience in that. What else do we have? I think that should be about it. So let's go into our build up and then our awesome drop that we have going on here, which is very in detail.
Black swan. Senses are gone. Signals beyond.
Okay, we'll stop right there. I know you're getting real excited, but let's go run through just the build up area. We have this saw little pad going on here. So I can't remember exactly which wavetable this was. Usually it would tell me the name, but I did this from scratch as well, and I kind of did this cool. I'm not sure how to describe it. It looks like skateboard ramps. So yeah, we got that going through, sweeping through during the pad. Then we have what else do we have? Actually, that's all we have there. So let's get into the build up. I'll make sure this side chain's coming through. We also have this little thing coming in. I usually like to do this before the drop. Usually I take a sample out of the drop and then put it just before, filter it in so you guys kind of get like a glimpse of what's to come in the drop. And then let's go ahead and get straight into the drop. So a lot of vocal chops. I love doing vocal chops in songs. So this is definitely one I wanted to showcase. So yeah, basically took her a cappella and clipped this little section of it and just moved around things until I think it sounded right, and then I wanted to add effects. So I think this is what it should sound like dry. Let me find the channel that it's in. Here we go. So this is nothing on it. So we took that, and then the first thing we put on it is our isotope volume. What is it? Vocal synth, yes. I like using the transform button over here as well as the bio box to kind of give like still have the sound, but add another type of not sure the way like a distinct sound over it, or a kind of way it layers it. And then I automated it. And some of the dynamics is changing throughout, some of it. So I had to after I put the LFO tool on it, basically doing some volume automation. I took some Maximus and I pretty much boosted all the dynamics so it kind of stays at one level basically. And we also have this little bass just above it, which I think is from her little bass stem that she sent. I think I put something over this. Oh, I actually didn't. I like to do a lot of band stops. So I like to take frequencies out. It kind of gives a cool sound. Band stop. I think that's what it should be called. So yeah, it just takes out a little sound of the frequency basically. What else do we have here? The drums. A little cashmere loop. Really thick snare. And under that, we also have more layering. So I took this chord from a pack, added a lot of distortion over it, and then over here we have another pad, just a lot to make the the hits hit harder, basically. So with all this together, without the vocals, it should sound like this. So yeah, very cool stuff we have in here. It's not a lot, but it is just enough, whatever I think I need that'll make this drop sound good. I don't need so much things happening. I wanted to make this drop not too crazy, but something you could still turn up to. So let's get into the next section. Also have that synth coming through again. Yeah, so for this section, I wanted to give a more trappy feel, so I definitely switched the drums around. Still wanted the vocals to come through, so I always try to leave space for any song I remix. I always want the vocals on front, no matter what I do. So, and here again with that sample that I used from the beginning, just to fill out the space. Some of her. Also have that, that same cool sequence and sound. kept that cashmere loop in here as well. And then over here, we have a bit more added as far as the extra stuff. So the only thing I pretty much added as extra was this melody. Hold on one second. This melody that I had made a while ago. Can't remember what I used it for, but I used it in a couple songs. Let me get this sidechain. There's some disperser over it, kind of gives that weird sounding liquidish sound. Not sure how to describe that. And then, yeah, I think it repeats kind of like almost a copy and paste back into that section of the build up, basically. Just took out a couple elements.
So sick.
The vocal part. In our last section. Yeah, so for this section, basically just added some LFO tool to do that whoop sound over it, basically. Just a 1/8 kind of chop. And then this section just pretty much out. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, that is the complete remix, which took 9 hours and 49 minutes, I think.
That's insane.
Which a lot of people says that's so fast, but it means like that's kind of like the normal time that I get around to doing these types of songs. Even crazier songs usually end up about 10 hours. So very impressed with this one as far as time. So I'm glad I was very part of this. I'm glad to be a part of this. I'm glad I got to meet Alicia and more of what she likes to do, and her vision for this Cryptowaves is very cool, and I would love to be a part of it. So yeah, thanks guys for having me though. I know you probably have some more questions and want to keep interviewing me, so let's get to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, I guess I want to know, maybe tell us about why you sort of went into two aliases. Like, what made you sort of develop Netrun as something different?
It probably will definitely have to do with the game Cyberpunk, but also it had to do with because I was doing so much genres on my main alias, the Jeffrey one, and time to time I would probably upload an EDM track because I was already doing pop stuff that time. What was it, November, September, and around that area. So I was releasing a lot of pop and other stuff. And then all of a sudden, I was working on these dubstep tracks, these heavy EDM tracks that I was planning to release maybe in December, but I didn't want to put it on my, my Spotify or Apple. I wanted to just showcase, oh, I'm making this type of stuff right now. So I was like, maybe I should just have another alias for that type of stuff, that heavy EDM, but also maybe I could put some type of vision over it in case, maybe I don't want it to just be kind of bland or boring. I want to maybe have something to go along with it. So I thought, the cyberpunk theme and the net running kind of thing would kind of go well with it, because I could put my mind to something instead of having to be like, okay, what am I gonna do this time? It makes me just it kind of gives me a head start to what I want as far as the net run sound, the glitchy, the futuristic sound. So yeah, that's kind of why I made the second alias. And yeah,
Sweet. I want to know what are some of your favorite VSTs? I see you use Serum. Are there any other sort of little producer tricks,
yeah,
weird
I do
ones?
have. Let's see. Serum. I love pigments. Doing a lot with pigments as well. But there's only one. There's one here, but you can do so much with pigments. It might look a little bit intimidating for some of those, but you just get into this. It's so much you can do inside of pigments. I do have the kilohertz plugins that I of course one. I love using disperser a lot. I love using. What else do I have in here? I just
Yes.
like dabbling with any of these. Really, any of these could. I just kind of just throw them on the tracks and just see what I could do with them. But yeah,
Shouts.
disperser is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Free band EQ. I've been using slice EQs a bit, which I know is just kind of weird for me to just okay, let's just do because I usually use parametric EQ to do a lot of my stuff, but just want to explore. I know multipass is a really good one as well as snap heat, but I do use a lot of multipass in some of the songs for for in case you want to sound design or creative experiments and stuff like that. But yeah, some of my favorites in kilohertz as well.
Sweet. I mean,
Uh,
yeah, shouts out to Kilohearts.
yeah,
Honestly, they've been so generous. They're such a cool company. Have you tried Faceplant yet?
I have tried Faceplant. I so much to learn, honestly. It was all, and I'm glad that they have like a little community. I'm on their Discord, and they have, of course, these channels where you could talk about the sound design and even some skins you can download or and some tips in case you're lost. Start to finish basically. So I'm glad that they've been doing that to help out the producers and the
Yeah.
community. So
Yeah, super super dope. And have you played any shows? Do you play shows? Has that ever happened?
I don't play shows. Yeah, I've been thinking about playing shows, but I'm not sure exactly how I would approach it because, at first when I was doing EDM, it'd be like, okay, well, it's simple. I could just get into DJing and stuff like that. But now it's kind of I've taken this route where it's like, okay, well, he's done EDM and he's done pop now and he's done he's tried R&B. So it's like, I could also, and I've been singing as well, like practicing my vocal ability and stuff like that. So who knows if it could be a live show doing all these, handling all these things, pressing buttons as well as singing. It seems a little overwhelming for me because I haven't really dabbed into that. And as well as DJing, I haven't really gotten to DJing as well. So it's kind of like still on the, it's a huge stepping stone for me. So that's why I haven't gotten to the performance side of things. But yeah, production side of things, I would love to succeed in any way I can as far as, doing it for other artists, even big artists, producing for other artists, making maybe having them as a feature if that comes to play. So yeah, that's what I just been focused on.
Cool. Filth from the chat was curious about what artists influence you.
What artist influenced me? Yeah, Gray is a really cool duo. I'm sure you might have heard them. They also they did the track with Zed a while back. Also, another producer that I don't think is getting a lot of attention, but is he has an Instagram. His name is Ariza. You can find him on Instagram. Music Ariza is one of my favorite producers because he's basically doing what I'm trying to do, like try every genre basically, and he's really good at what he does, and he can play all kinds of instruments. Kind of, it's like the next Jacob Collier, but yeah, I'm just saying. Music Ariza. Who else? Trying to think because off the top of my head I don't have a lot of producers in mind. I just okay, I'll go for this sound. Jaden Lewis, another producer that I have some songs with. He introduced me to his music like probably 2 years ago, and I just really like the sound that he was doing. He hasn't been releasing a lot this past year, but he's planning to in the future as well. As we have both releases, but he's trying to sculpt a new sound for himself, and it really inspired me to try out stuff of my own, inspired by his sound. Los Monte Booker has some cool sounds. He has I have his sample pack, so I go a lot through his sample pack and a lot to put him in my songs. Ian Kirkpatrick is another one. Definitely the guy who produced a lot of Dua Lipa tracks. Very solid with the way he does production, and less is more when it comes to the way he approaches that. So yeah, just a couple of producers I really like to listen to in case I just lost or need to be inspired or influenced in some way. So yeah.
Okay, I have one. Am I live? Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Jeffrey, I have
Mm.
one for you. What do you think about this whole new game of rights management on the blockchain? So we were just, we're about to mint an NFT in just a sec, and how do you feel about kind of delegating your one of your favorite tracks and then just knowing that you're giving it away, right? You're selling it, you're giving it away.
Mm.
How does that feel from your perspective? It's
Actually really cool. Yeah, I was definitely watching the live stream before I was on, and there's so much to grasp, but I really couldn't wrap my mind about. It's like taking a class, but there's so much insight to what you guys are explaining, and for me to even be a part of that and just be like, okay, here I am about to have my first NFT with a big time, producer, singer songwriter Alicia. So it's like, whoa, this is like it's like an honor. So I'm really excited for it, and yeah, I'm ready to see, how this is, how the progress is done, and it looks pretty simple. The way you were minting the NFTs, it was very customizable in a way that you can make it your own and add whatever you want, and to gather or attract any people that are into that stuff. So yeah, really excited about it.
Sweet. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm super honored. And I think that, your music is incredible. And one of the things that we're going to talk about briefly after we mint the NFT is just this whole concept of like how an artist can start to build their own sort of world and economy and involve their fans in a totally different way, which I think for somebody like you is just really profound because you make so much music too. Some people,
Hmm.
myself included, we take like 10, 20, 30 hours. I know people who take weeks to make tracks, and you're just kind of spitting them out.
Pumping them out, yeah.
So, I mean, I think you could create your own economy, and I think it'd be really cool to sort of, talk about that a bit. So let's kind of go through and check out sort of how this works. Let me.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. Let me get out of this. How do I get out of full screen? I don't know how to get. No, this monitor. There we go. Thank you. Okay,
Maybe wish
cool.
there was just that one button.
Yeah, just that one button. Okay, so we're actually going to go up to catalog, and Jeffrey's made some really, really cool art. So let's do some minting on catalog. And I'm just trying to get Jeremy from catalog into the chat because he's an awesome, awesome person. And catalog was just founded by, as far as I know, Jeremy and another person. And they're huge music fans. They're from Denver. And they just had this idea that audio NFTs could be a thing. And I think for musicians like me, that's really important because up until now, we just kept seeing, okay, visual artists. Visual art is the only thing that is worth doing anything or whatever. And so it didn't seem like there was a place for music. And now it really feels like there is, So I'm going to make sure that we are transitioned over. There we go. I'm connected to the wrong chain. All right, cool. Here's a good example of what happens. Right now we're on the test net. So if you want to please, Vanna, switch back to the switch back. So what's happened right now is that my wallet is still on that test network that we were on OpenSea. It's a very nice world. It says I have almost 3 Ethereum. Oh, back to reality. Sad face. Okay, so now we are connected to the Ethereum net, and we are on my account, and you can see my profile picture has come out. So here, hold on. You want to just talk about a couple things while I just get Jeremy in here? Talk about what your opinion maybe of catalog is and all these platforms. How, as a music tech person, like what's your perspective on all these?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's where where that question to Jeffrey was coming from, right? Like, what's your take in giving your art into this such unknown wild west world called, blockchain, and then where does it go, and what happens after that? And the reason why I was asking that because there's so much that can happen these days once you push it into the blockchain, as opposed to simply, I guess publishing it in the old traditional way. And it just opens a whole set of possibilities. Just my favorites. I mean, I come up much more from the financial world. So I know that, for example, the fact that you own or that somebody owns one of these NFTs, such as the one we're about to mint, just opens the door to potentially, creating a bank or collateral, what banks call collateral or some kind of guarantee to, for example, ask for a loan elsewhere in other platforms, to perhaps save or invest whatever face value or future value of the NFT will be. And these are just some, I know, very like financial boring words, but what's interesting to me is that it just allows anyone with a phone and a wallet, just internet and a wallet, to create their own economy. And we're not even going to get into the banking system, to have their own infrastructure available, permissionless, which means always accessible to them, all of their fans anywhere in the world, just breaking frontiers, borders. I could keep going. So I mean, I think right now we're in the very early stages of what can be done, and I am personally very interested in seeing what kind of economies emerge from the artists alone. And I'm talking about economies because we just spoke about rights perhaps, or the royalties that are coming from the art, but also the live performances that perhaps Jeffrey will be doing in the future. That was a good question. You never know. You come on stage, and then we could actually, the tickets could be monetized and put into the same economy, into the same smart contracts, which then feed or are owned by a set of our own fans, perhaps, or our own collaborators, and that would be the choice of the artist or the creator himself or herself. So it's just a very interesting edge. I think we're very in the early stages. I see lots of cool projects coming to life, really looking at these possibilities and just pioneering into onboarding artists into this. So for all you guys wanting to just explore this new digital economies that is available to you today, was not before. So I think it is a bit of a turning point for this space that we love, which is a music space.
Amazing. All right, let's do it, everyone. Let's mint. So one thing that actually my camera is blocking this, so let me kind of move it over. But I can see that with Lewis's gas fee app, it's pretty low. It's not bad. It's 23, which is good because I'm going to press this record regardless. So I was hoping it would stay a little bit low. And so you can see on catalog all the current releases. I actually just minted Genesis Block, the second single. It's up there. And you can see that some of these have bids on them. This Pixelord one has got a bid of 0.3 ETH. This Villager 1 ETH. This is great. And so we are going to hit press record. And this is nice because catalog knows, hey, this is permanent. Don't make mistakes. So they give you a lot of places to go. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because trust me, if you put an error in and it's not lazy minting, you are burned into the blockchain. So, and just FYI, we have Jeremy from Catalog in the chat. So if you want to know more about this audio NFT only marketplace, you can literally ask him questions. He's right here. It's a super dope opportunity. So right now we're going to hit create new record. And I'm going to actually just download the full wave. Jeffrey has sent it to me earlier. So let me just make sure we have this. Whoops. Black. Whatever. And there we go. So we can actually just drag and drop. It's pretty amazing. Whatever. And it's importing. It's interesting, and you can see that if you had really fast eyes, that they were checking if it's already been minted, and that's the catalog one thing. They actually compare your file algorithmically to anything else on the blockchain to see if somebody has already pressed it, and if not, you can't press it. So kind of neat. This is another thing where I think on the collector side, that's probably something that they enjoy, is just knowing, hey, this NFT that I'm about to buy, this record, I've checked this, there's not another copy floating around. This is the only copy on the marketplace, which I think is pretty cool. So we got that. And then we have some original artwork, which Jeffrey has also made. Super, super cool. So we can download, we can have JPEG, PNG files. Bam. Super simple. Now, as you can see, these fields cannot be edited after your record pressed. So I am going to go through this, and maybe you can talk through this while I start typing, and keep talking. You're doing well. I know. We're almost there.
Okay, so
I'm paying close attention as well, in case I get into this type of stuff.
Okay, so what's interesting about this, the text that's being typed right now on screen, is that it becomes part of the NFT's metadata, which is basically why we cannot edit it once it's been pushed into the blockchain or published in the blockchain. So yeah, I mean, just always, I think that's as opposed to for perhaps the minting process that we just did in OpenSea. You know, it allows you to edit because it just runs some additional, let's say, ER 1155, just a different standard, I think, for as far as I know. But as right now, I think I'm not sure if Catalog has the same standard. But for the time being, you need to know that once you have this, you will not be able to alter it. It becomes the metadata, and it's there forever. It's quite scary when you push the button, but the collector will, as mentioned, appreciate that because yeah, there's once off, you signed it, it's authentic, and it gives it the value. Also, I mean, there's some text there. It's also going to be part of the data with the NFT creator share. That's an interesting feature there from Catalog, allowing the creator to have a secondary sale or a secondary market. You have a split of that sale value or that revenue that it generates. So that means if it gets sold 10 more times at different prices, each one of those 10 times, Alicia would be earning whatever is put in that box of creator share. It's also very cool to see that smart contracts guarantee this. Once again, nobody, this is code. I really like the word code is law in this space. So, if once we know we configure this NFT in such way, the smart contracts from Catalog would make sure that any additional sale will actually be, respected, in such split. You ready?
What creator share should we do? I mean, what I did last time was 20%. Is that good for you, Jeffrey? If people resell it, we will get 20% every time they sell it.
That is fine by me.
All right. And then, hey, we may not be burning this actual agreement into the blockchain, but we're literally doing it on stream. So this is
very legit. It's a live stream. Yeah.
All right, upload track. Let's see. Let's read this together. You understand your record must be original. Do not upload anybody else's copyrighted work. That is something we touched on in our video too, is if you don't make the content, you really don't have the right to make it into an NFT. I mean, even if you do that, well, what did you say? Like a TikTok dance to something and you try to make that into an NFT and you're using someone else's song, you are going to get in trouble. And believe me, these record label sharks is their highest priority to make as much money from anything as possible. So don't use same rules as, regular music. Except I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of new weird lawsuits coming up in the next while because nobody really can deal with this, yet. Also, your record is permanent. Once pressed, it cannot be updated or edited. So really, you cannot get rid of stuff. And the only way for you to get rid of it, and I've had some artists say this kind of thing to me, oh my gosh, my music changes so much. What if I hate this in years? Well, if you still own it or someone else owns it and you know them, you can ask them to do what's called burning it. Can you explain just really briefly what burning is?
Well, burning is, exactly what it sounds like. You just remove the token from the blockchain. It is sent, the more technical definition, it is sent to a smart contract that nobody owns. Therefore, it's lost forever. And it's usually burning, or a burning wallet, not even a smart contract. Sometimes it's just a wallet. So let's just call it the void. And that allows you to remove from the blockchain. Nobody can earn it. Nobody has mentioned you can't alter that, and therefore you can't undo that action. Therefore, if you have, let's say, a supply of 10 NFTs, which are copies of an identical piece, by burning one, you just created a jump in value, I think, because you only have 9 potential owners. As mentioned, they're non-fungible, which means they cannot be split into more pieces. Therefore, you burn one. It's a big statement, for creating that scarcity element. So it's a good way. It's also a good strategy. We've been seeing a few projects do this. I think Euler Beats did a good job by just allowing a bunch of people to buy the NFTs, copies of it, and then you had a big buyer actually starting to mint them because he wanted, let's say, the first few buyers to actually hold and hold those initial NFTs and have them increase in value, and that's exactly what has been happening. So it's tactics in the end. It's blockchain collectors tactics, and you could check that out yourself if it suits you.
Cool. All right, let's do this. So your record is universally accessible. The music on your record is freely and publicly available. All right, we have to actually check these boxes. Oh, upload track. Uploading your files to the
Here
interplanetary
we
file
go.
system. Do 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 do. Ooh, this is pretty cool. We're having a fun adventure right now where we're like riding the battery because this wonderful MacBook Air doesn't have enough ports to have an Ethernet adapter and a power and a sound card. So I will be changing the network if it gets to more than like a little lower than this. But here we go. Okay, we are uploaded and we are ready to press. Amazing. So now I think I can just click on it. This record has not been pressed. All right, everything look okay to you, Jeffrey?
It's great.
All right. Double check, Netrun Remix.
Double check.
Audio,
Yeah.
title. Yes, yes.
444 time.
And then you can say, not yet. And then this is it. All right, now I have to do this is the law here. I have to sign on my wallet. So that means that my wallet is going to come up and it's going to say, no, don't back up. Q, go away. How do I make that go away? It's not asking me to do anything. Oh, activity, is that it? Or Q? Oh. All right, so here we go. So the gas fee right now, not too bad. It's $25. All right, I can live with that. And I have to because I said I was going to do it, so we're doing it. All right, so you can see that you do have a last chance there. You can go, oh my gosh, the gas fee's too high. I'm not going to do this right now. So here we go. And we are pressing. We are pressing. All right, so the battery is getting dangerously low, so I'm going to hope that this Wi-Fi will stay on. If the stream interrupts, it should come right back. We're getting pretty close to done anyways, but here we go. Black Swan Netrun Remix. We are now live. Jeffrey has minted with me a first NFT on Catalog. It is pressed.
Yeah.
Woo!
This is awesome.
All right,
Thank
and
you
we
so
will.
much.
So hopefully we can see. So cool. We have actually a couple of things left. So thank you so much, Jeffrey. It's been so fun doing this with you. And yeah, for everyone watching, I'm gonna switch the network now. If the stream jumps, it's just because it's switching to Wi-Fi because we just got